So as for obligatory knowledge, which is obligatory upon the nation, with the two categories there, that which is obligatory upon every individual, or that which is obligatory upon some, what is that knowledge? It is the legislated knowledge, the Islamic knowledge. That which the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam came with. That's the knowledge being referred to. Then the Shaykh said, as for al-ilm ad-dunyawi, as for worldly knowledge, and he gives examples of this, such as the knowledge of industries and professions and arithmetic and mathematics and engineering. فَهَذَا الْعِلْمُ مُبَاحٌ. Then this knowledge is permissible. This is not the obligatory knowledge that's being referred to. This is permissible knowledge. It is permissible to learn it. And it can be obligatory. I mean, in some cases it can be obligatory. If the ummah, if the nation has need of it, then it will be obligatory upon those who are capable. However, it is not the knowledge which is intended in the Quran and the Sunnah. In the texts of the Quran and the Sunnah that encourage knowledge, we don't say that refers to engineering and mathematics and so on and so forth. We don't say that. The Shaykh said these branches of knowledge are permissible knowledge only. And there may be some cases when the nation, when the ummah needs it, that it becomes obligatory upon those who are capable of it. So he said that this is not the knowledge intended in the Quran and the Sunnah. That which Allah the Most High has praised and commended its people. And that which the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said about it, al-ulama warathatul anbiya. That the ulama, the scholars, the people of knowledge, are the inheritors of the prophets. What is meant is al-ilm al-shar'i, is the legislated knowledge, the Islamic knowledge. Doesn't mean those are scholars of science or scholars of mathematics and so on. No. The scholars are the inheritors of the prophets, mean the scholars of, as the Shaykh said, al-ilm al-shar'i, legislated knowledge, Islamic knowledge. As for the hadith, they mention in a footnote this hadith, this part of the hadith, al-ulama'u warathatul anbiya, the scholars, the people of knowledge, are the inheritors of the prophets. They mention in a footnote, this is reported by al-Bukhari ta'liqan. It's reported by al-Bukhari in disconnected form, I mean without a fully connected chain. In the book of knowledge, chapter, knowledge comes before speech and action. It follows on from hadith number 67. I mean, it's not part of the book. It's included by al-Bukhari in his book, but it's not part of the book. It's just mentioned as a note along with the book. And reported by Abu Dawood and Ibn Majah and at Tirmidhi from a hadith of Abu Darda radiyallahu anhu. And the narration of Abu Dawood, Shaykh al-Albani rahimahullah, he declared it sahih, authentic. And it's part of a longer hadith that begins, Man salaka tariqan yatlubu fihi ilman salaka Allahu azza wa jal bihi tariqan min turuq al-jannah. It's part of a longer hadith, this hadith that the scholars are the inheritors of the prophets. The start of the hadith with Abu Dawud begins, whoever follows a path through which he seeks knowledge, then Allah the Mighty and Majestic will cause him through it to be upon a path from the paths leading to paradise. To the end of the hadith, and part of the hadith being this wording, al-ulama warathatul anbiya, the ulama, the scholars, are the inheritors of the prophets. So as the Shaykh said, what's meant here is al-ilm al-shar'i, Islamic knowledge. As for worldly knowledge, then whoever is ignorant of it, then there is no sin upon him. And whoever learns it, then it is mubah, it is permissible for him. And if he uses it, or if he utilizes it to benefit the nation, the ummah, then he is rewarded for it. And if a person died and he was ignorant of this knowledge, I mean knowledge of al-ilm ad-dunyawi, knowledge of the matters of the dunya, of this world, engineering, mathematics, arithmetic, and so on, as the Shaykh said. He said, if a person died and he was ignorant of this knowledge, then he would not be taken to account for it on the day of resurrection. However, whoever died and he was ignorant of al-ilm al-shar'i, of the legislated knowledge, Islamic knowledge, particularly essential knowledge, then he will be asked about it on the day of resurrection. Lima lam tata'allam? Limadha lam tas'al? Why didn't you learn? Why didn't you ask? The Shaykh said, the one who says when he is placed in his grave, Rabbi Allah wal Islamu dini wa Nabiyyi Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, hadha yanju. The person who says when he is placed in his grave, my Lord is Allah, and Islam is my religion, and my Prophet is Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, this person will be saved. It will be said to him, where did you acquire this from? So he will say, Qara'tu kitab Allah wa ta'allamtu. I read the book of Allah and I learnt it. That's what it will be said, as occurs in the narration. It will be said to him, where did you acquire this knowledge from? When the person replies to the angels, my Lord is Allah, and Islam is my religion, and my Prophet is Muhammad. And it will be said to him, where did you acquire this from? So he will say, I read the book of Allah, and I learnt it. Then the Shaykh said the opposite case. As for the person who turns away from that, then when he is questioned in his grave, then he will say, I don't know. I heard the people saying something, so I said it. Then this person, his grave will be made to blaze with fire upon him. Allah's refuge is sought. Ameen. And it will be crushed upon him to such an extent that his ribs will cross over. And he will come to be in a pit from the pits of the hellfire, because he did not have knowledge and he did not read. So it will be said to him, La darayta, wa la talayt, aw la talawt. That it will be said to him, the second category of person, you did not know, and you did not read, or you did not follow. In a footnote they mention, where is this hadith taken from? What is said to the person, each of these two people, and the hadith in that regard. They say it's reported by Al-Bukhari in abridged form as a hadith of Anas, as hadith 1338, and also reported by Muslim in abridged form, in short form, also as a hadith of Anas radiallahu anhu, as hadith number 2870, and reported by Abu Dawood as a hadith of Al-Bara ibn Azib radiallahu anhu, in a long hadith, as hadith 4753. And the narration of Abu Dawood, which Shaykh al-Albani rahimahullah declared sahih, authentic, is the long hadith about what happens to a person when he's placed in his grave, to the believer, and what happens to the hypocrite. Long narration. And part of it being this, that what it said to each of them. Then Shaykh al-Fawzan said about the second person here, the one who says, the people said something, so I said it. That it will be said to him, La darayta wa la talayt. It will be said to him, you didn't know and you didn't read. Or it will be said, La talawt, you didn't follow. So Shaykh al-Fawzan said, so he did not learn, and he did not follow the example of the people of knowledge. Rather, he was wasted and lost in his life. So this is the person who ends up in shaqa, in wretchedness, and Allah's refuge is sought. Ameen. So then Shaykh al-Fawzan said, so he's saying al-ilm, knowledge. This is the legislated knowledge that is required from us as a body and as individuals. And it is knowledge and awareness of Allah through His names and His attributes, and knowledge of His right upon us which is to worship Him alone, ascribing no partner to Him. So the first thing that is obligatory upon the person, upon the servant, is knowledge and awareness of his Lord, the mighty and majestic, and how to worship Him. And that's where we'll leave it, inshallah. It is late. We'll leave the remainder until next time, inshallah. Where he continues saying, وَهُوَ مَعْرِفَةُ اللَّهِ وَمَعْرِفَةُ نَبِيهِ وَمَعْرِفَةُ دِينِ الْإِسْلَامِ بِالْأَدِلَّةِ. So the remainder of the first matter that's obligatory upon us to learn, al-ilm, knowledge, as he said, which will be, and it is knowledge of Allah and knowledge of His Prophet and knowledge of the religion of Islam with the proofs. And we'll take that and what follows next time, inshallah. Any points of clarification? سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.